Back into session at 8:34 and moving on to reports of the superintendent.
President Montemayor. I'm sorry, there we go. President Montemayor and board members, at this time, I would like to ask Dr. Cindy Micka to come to the podium in place of Dr. Glover. Dr. Glover was not able to be here tonight, so Dr. Micka is going to give us an update on House Bill 3 related to full-day pre-K.
Good evening. This report is tied to our Destination 2025 priority teaching and learning. Specifically, we will engage each student in learning experiences that increase student growth and achievement. Last month, Dr. Glover came and gave you an update on full-day pre-K as required by law for HB 3, and I'm here to review some of that with you and then to give you some additional information that we have gathered. So just a reminder that House Bill 3 states that all eligible 4-year-olds must be provided full-day pre-K. At the same time, they also put into place a waiver process for districts that were not able to implement immediately this year, September 1st, due to facilities or the inability to hire staff. And so districts are able to apply for a 1, 2, or 3-year waiver. So the requirements of a 3-year waiver, which we would be asking for approval of, but not until December after the process is completed. In year 1 this year, we would file the waiver when it becomes available in January 2020. It also necessitates that in the first year or the second year of the waiver that we open 1 full-day pre-K classroom. In the third year of the waiver, we would have to open a second full-day classroom. And then by 2022, 2023, we must open a full-day pre-K for all eligible 4-year-olds, or we must reapply for the waiver for an additional, up to an additional 3 years. As Dr. Glover let you know last month that we would be doing a call for partnership that has gone out. An email was sent to eligible, was sent to preschools that currently offer programs to eligible 4-year-olds. We sent emails to Children's Lighthouse, Creekwood School, Crossridge Preschool, Kitty Academy, Kids R Us, Robin's Nest Montessori, Sunshine House, Children's Lighthouse, and Montessori Learning House requesting applications for partnership. And we will be having a public meeting with them on November 6th at 3 p.m. here at Zeller's. The 4-year-olds to be eligible, this is just a review. Dr. Glover shared this last month as to the eligibility criteria for 4-year-olds. A new piece of information that we've gathered, we worked with Jesse Weiss from Business Services and gathered information from Clay and Jeff Wiseman as well to open a full-day pre-K classroom. If we had to add a classroom, it would cost us approximately $127,000. That would be for all the technology, for the curriculum, for the teacher, for the paraprofessional, for the furniture, and the centers and all manipulatives. At the November board meeting, we will be ready to share with you our financial impact. The business office, Jesse and Grant, and have been working hard to do a forecast out for how much it will cost us with 0 growth, 25% growth, 50% growth, and 75% growth on top of the current amount of students that we have when we go full day. And so we'll be ready to share that with you at the November board meeting. We're also going to talk about the partnerships that have come in and then ask you to determine whether we will actually enter into a partnership with an outside entity or whether Little Elm ISD will be will be serving those students during the years of the waiver. At the December board meeting, we'll ask you to consider our application for the waiver so that as soon as it becomes available in January, if you so vote that way, that we would be able to apply for the waiver. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mika. At this time, President Montemayor and board members, asking Ms. Amanda Ball to come up to give us an update on our professional learning plan, or really update for the district and advanced academics. Thank you.
No problem. Board of Trustees, President Montemayor, Mr. Gallagher, thank you for this time. This presentation is going to update the board on the strategic focus of teaching and learning, specifically our priority to engage each employee in meaningful learning experiences that support student success. And you can see that on the top there of the presentation. So we know that the most meaningful professional learning is embedded in the day, the kind that teachers and leaders are engaged in all year long throughout the school year. But I wanted to highlight a few of the experiences that teachers and our administrators went through during the summer. So those are listed there for you. And this is just to kind of demonstrate the dedication that teachers have, that really they're never off the clock. So those are the events that happened between June and August. And just to hit the highlight here, teachers earned 12,715 continuing professional education hours between June 3rd and August 5th. And that's just teachers. So I took all of the administrators, coordinators, anybody that works in this building out of that equation. So those are just our teachers that are on that 187-day contract. So I really wanted to demonstrate that dedication to the profession to you guys. The connection between adult learning and student success is always at the forefront. And that's one of the best parts of my role here in the district, is that my role really kind of demonstrates that connection. So advanced academics, we have lots of different opportunities for students to excel in advanced pathways. And, a couple of examples there up on the screen. Lobo Collegiate Academy is one of our newest examples of that, accelerated pathways. And we just recently celebrated over 200 advanced placement students for their successes on the AP exams that they took in the spring of 2019. And those students earned 801 college credits. And based on our current tuition rates for a four-year college, they saved $200,250 in tuition. Just those 200 students did. Another program in the district that falls under the umbrella of advanced academics is our GT, our Gifted and Talented Education Program. So 6% of the population is estimated as gifted, and when I ran our numbers, 6% of our student population is identified as gifted. So we're right on with the estimated of the population. And one of our goals a couple of years ago was to make sure that our gifted students that are identified as gifted mirrored our demographics, and we are there as well. So we've reached that goal. We made sure that our identification processes were inclusive, and so we've reached that goal. We have about 500, actually we are at 500 when I ran this report, students that are identified K-12, and we have 3 GT specialists that are serving them district-wide. We have a couple of different programs. We have K-5 pull-out program, and then we serve our 6-12 GT students in a little bit different way there. And one of the things I wanted to point out here is that it's important for adults to understand how to recognize the uniqueness of gifted kids, because gifted students come in all different shapes and sizes, and especially when you're thinking about the twice exceptional student. So the adult learning piece is really key when we're talking about gifted students as well. So one final thing for you guys, Aspiring Leaders Institute, ALI, this has been a very successful program, and we are working really hard to maintain that success. But there's been a growing concern about teachers being away from their students and missing that instructional time. And so this led to conversation about innovation and a conversation about what we can do to kind of restructure ALI. And it led to something really exciting. So we are going to have a restructure ALI 2020. So in the fall, ALI is going to become a comprehensive 2-year leadership program. And so instead of having the 1 and 2 and 3, it's going to be a 2-year program. It's going to open up a lot of flexibility, and teachers and educators are going to be able to engage in the content in a lot of different ways. It's going to be in a blended format, and it's going to have an optional module for our educators who want to be APs or principals, because this isn't just open to people who want to be principals. It's leadership in any way, but some people do specifically want to be that. And so there's going to be an optional module for that. And so we're just really excited about the ability for us to grow our leaders in lots of different ways through this. And so I wanted to share that with you as well. But that's what I have for you. Is there anything else? If you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you very much.
I do have just one point, and it's something that I've stressed every year since it's been around. And I know Mr. Roberts actually got a email from me last year on this when it occurred. The one thing that concerns me is we keep saying teachers and educators over and over again. My understanding is that this is open to all employees.
It is,
And we even
yes.
had to change the application last year regarding that. So just in the future, I think it'd be nice for all the teachers and all the staff to hear all employees and not just educators, teachers. Because there are several staff members that have been deterred from applying to this because they always hear teachers instead of all staff. So
And we have had several complete the program as
I
well.
know,
in the
I granted, I
classroom.
understand that there have been several that have not ever even applied because of exactly what's happening. So other than that, no, it's, I love the program.
Well, we appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Ball. Great job. And thank you for your leadership with advanced academics and ALI and everything you're doing. So thank you so much. All right. At this time, President Montemayor, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
So the first few action items we have is the approval of minutes. First, we have the consideration for approval of regular board meeting minutes from the July 16th meeting as provided to us. Is there?
September.
Oh, what did I say? That's October? Sorry, September 16th, 2009. No, July of 2019. Is there a motion? All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Abstain.
Right. Okay. So one abstention. Okay. Then we also have the consideration for approval of the special board meeting minutes from September 9th of this year. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Abstain.
Okay.
Jeez, Paleo.
Jeez, man.
I see a pattern. All right. Motion passes. Thank you very much. All right. So now moving on to our action items. We have Dr. Teague, the consideration and approval of the Director of Human Services, Human Resources.
Yeah, so Dr. Teague, if you just want to come up and basically you'll just read the statement at the bottom of the summary sheet. Thank you. Yes.
The recommendation.
Yep. I'm sorry, no, it's actually my fault. I don't think I prepared you for this, so I'll take the heat on this.
It's all right. I got it.
It's the way we like to do things.
It's all right. The administration recommends approval of the candidate for the position of Director of Human Resources as discussed in closed meeting.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
None?
All right, all those in favor of approving the candidate? All right, none opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Teague.
All right, moving on to Dr. Tipton.
Mr. Gallagher, Board of Trustees, thank you for giving me just a quick moment to visit with you guys regarding our Lobo Stadium marketing package. And we are referring here on our Destination 2025 plan. This falls under our community strand, community engagement, fostering community partnerships to enhance educational opportunities. So we're proud to bring this to you tonight. In board book, we're on page 35 through 47. And this is a 3-year agreement with Cook Children's. They will be purchasing a Lobo package for Lobo Stadium. They will also be purchasing some softball field, outfield fencing, advertising, as well as a full 3-year digital package for the gymnasium. So we're very, very excited about their partnership, but I think the most exciting part about the partnership goes beyond the financial impact for the district, which is $51,750 over 3 years. The most exciting part for us is the value added that Cook Children's can bring to our district. They're going to allow our students to practicum at the new hospital that's opened up on 380. They're going to provide, so we'll be able to double the size of our health science practicum as soon as, I believe that they did ask us to let them open the doors for 1 calendar year first so they can get themselves together. But within 2 years from now, we will double our capacity for internships, which is just an incredible benefit for the district and our kids. They're going to provide education for our nurses on clinical procedures. They're going to provide health and wellness newsletters that are going to go out to our families. So there's going to be multiple benefits from having Cook Children's as a partner, and we're very excited to, it's been a long, long time in the making, but we're very excited to bring this to you for approval tonight. So the administration recommends approval of the advertising package dated 10/21/19 as submitted.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
This is awesome.
Really
Ronnie
nice.
did a real good job on this.
Absolutely. All right. All those in favor of approving? None opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Tippett.
you.
And I want to take a second just to thank Dr. Tipton for his work on this. He has done a fabulous job of working with these different sponsors, but bringing somebody like Cook Children's on board really elevates the district. And again, that partnership says a lot. So thank you, Dr. Tipton, for your leadership there. Truly appreciate you.
All right, Mr. Anderson?
Yes. I'm checking this. Okay. You have the August financials. And I'm going to move this over here. Let's see the screen. And this is for the period ending August 2019 for 2018-19 fiscal year. We're still a little bit between each fiscal year. Our auditors happen to be here this week. And the budget amendments and financial information presented include current amendments and financial information through October 2019 for the 2019-20 fiscal year. Financials include, of course, the general fund, the capital projects fund, the debt service fund, and special revenue funds. And the general fund for the August 2019 fiscal year, we have a budget amendment that's been submitted to transfer up to $6.5 million from the general fund to capital outlay fund for ongoing short-term and long-term capital outlay expenditures, such as for the facilities, technology, safety, security, and district-wide furniture and fixtures and equipment. And 2019-20 fiscal year, appropriate $145,720 for high school one-to-one MacBook devices, and you'll see that in the contracts will be coming up here soon. And to just talk a little bit about the $6.5 million transfer, so you understand what that is. It's coming from we have 4 funds: the general fund, which is for our operating costs, and the capital outlay fund for, we have two two categories under the capital outlay fund: the bond projects, which is the capital costs authorized by bond election, and the non-bond projects, which is capital outlay costs for safety and security, technology, facilities, and land. And that's where we're going to transfer up to $6.5 million to establish the district infrastructure funding to support the instructional needs of the district. And I think since I've been here, we've been kind of managing the capital outlay funds out of our general funds, so the capital outlay dollars have been competing with, staffing. And so for the first time, I feel pretty comfortable that we'll have a actual capital outlay fund set up as non-bond to manage the ongoing capital needs of the district. And the other two are, of course, the debt service fund and our special revenue funds. So the notes to the financials in the 2019-20 fiscal year, the program intent code allocation as a result of the A6 legislative session, we're going to budget $1,835,000 from the transfer out for the following programs. And I asked Dr. Mika to kind of come up and talk a little bit about this on the instructional side. And would you like to do that now? Do you want to click through them? Okay, sorry, I don't know, it's not showing up on the screen here.
Okay, great.
But here's this.
Thank you. So the first is compensatory education, and that's our at-risk funds. The allowable expenditures for that are direct expenses related to students that are at risk. And so there are 14 criteria that the state sets aside for at risk, and then the district has an additional 2 criteria. And so for this, we are still gathering quotes for materials that the campuses need to address these. Another area that we could utilize this is contracted services for tutors for students that are at risk. But the allowable expenditures for compensatory ed, it's one of the hardest to spend legally. And so we're taking our due diligence to make sure that we come up with a plan that meets the needs of our students, but also remains within the allowable expenditures as set aside by the state. The $160,000 to bilingual education program, this is a result of we don't have 100% of our core teachers ESL certified yet, but we are working towards that. Last year, we had very few. Now we have almost 80 or so % at the elementary level, and we're working up at the high school level as well. So this is a new law that came about last year. And when you do not have all of your teachers ESL certified in the core content, you have to set aside 10% of your total bilingual education allotment towards professional learning for those teachers. We will be bringing to you a contract probably next month. I saw the beginnings of it winding its way through our department and onto business services. And we are actually going to be contracting with a group for a large portion of this money to provide instructional coaching to our bilingual teachers so that we have better what we call tier 1 first teach instruction in the classrooms to our bilingual students. And that is one of the allowable costs of this 10%. $95,000 to the dyslexia program. This is a brand new allotment. We are still waiting for the final allowable expenditures for this money. And that's what's interesting about House Bill 3 is that every Thursday they release new regulations for this bill. And so we're always watching House Bill 3 and 30 videos to find out what we're allowed to spend the money on and what the regulations are. And so this is one where we have actually sent an email asking for clarification whether salaries can actually be paid out of this, because dyslexia is a state required requirement, and typically with allotments you cannot pay for salaries. So we are waiting to determine how we'll spend this money, but we actually are meeting with a vendor I think on Thursday of this week, to look at a different product that would also help our dyslexia students. The next one is college, career, and military readiness. And with this allotment, we can pay for college assessments, TSI. We can pay for training for our counselors. We can pay for any activity that helps our students be ready for college, career, military readiness. For example, an SAT boot camp would be a possibility to bring in for this. And so we are working with the high school. This is another one of those where we were waiting on what was allowable. And so now that we know, we are gathering information from the high school, and then we will be ready to spend that money. $75,000 to safety and security, and this is something that Mr. Roberts updated you on at the workshop meeting, and so he spoke to y'all about this and shared with you a video, and that's one of the things that we are looking at in the artificial intelligence that we're looking at for that, and so we will be once again, working our way through our due diligence, making sure that that meets the needs of our students. And then once it does, we'll be bringing the contract forward to you on that. HighQuality PreK program. This is a leftover rider from a previous legislation. We're not sure that this is going to be money that's going to be coming in the future, since the early childhood allotment has also come. But for this $25,000, we are looking at, there 2 legislative sessions ago, the requirements changed for the type of certification that our pre-K teachers had to have. In the past, they were just certified as a Texas teacher in early childhood. But 4 years ago, that requirement changed, and they also have to have a preschool type childcare certification. And so our teachers have been involved in that. Part of that is also deals with mentoring. And so we have a contract going through with one of the Region Service Centers to provide that, because only certain entities can provide that service to pre-K teachers for their final year of training. So this is the final year of training with our teachers, and we will be entering into that. This next one, $725,000 to early education program. This is the money that would be allowable for the second half of the day for the full day pre-K salaries, which, as you know, we're not ready to open this year. There's only 3 ways to spend this money: on the second half of the salary for the pre-K program, on the K through 3 reading and math program plan, which the state is releasing how that has to be written in the next few weeks. We have gotten a basic understanding of it, but it can be spent on any entities or any activities that promote that. One thing that we are looking that would address that we would put into our plan, and we've contacted our service center, and we should be bringing a contract to you in November, is to provide instructional coaching for all of our K2 teachers at our 6 elementaries, because K3 teachers. And so that will be a good portion of that as a contracted service to work on Tier 1 instruction, our first teach in math and reading. And then the third thing that it can be used for is the salaries, the K3 math and literacy plans.
Find out next Thursday.
No, I really know this. It's we've been talking about it nonstop. But anyways, our plan is to spend it on the math and literacy plan that we will be writing and that the board will be approving by May. And then we have worked diligently to see how many teachers that we can use for the salary, because when we open for the second half, we are being very careful with this amount of money not to hire FTEs with it, because we know that when we are ready to open the full day pre-K in 2022, 2023, we need this money for those FTEs. And so we will be utilizing the $725,000 on contracted services. I'm sorry, I remembered what it could be. It's for implementing the full day pre-K furniture, the curriculum. So as we get ready for example, if we decide to do the pre-K in-house, we would need to open one pre-K next year. Because those students would be students in August, we can actually buy the furniture for those classrooms out of this year's allotment. We can buy the curriculum. We can start providing for the training for that teacher during the summer. And so that's the amount of money. But it's a lot of money for us to get after the budget went into play. We didn't know how much money we'd be getting for each of the different allotments. There are some allotments that aren't listed on here that still say zero on our summary of finances, that we're waiting to see how that money's going to be given to us and what the requirements for spending are. So we'll be back to you with definite plans for all of these once we've done our due diligence and have a cohesive, comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Dr. Mecca. Now, Grant Anderson, are you going to continue?
I'll jump back
All
in.
right,
Thank you,
perfect.
Dr. Mecca. She always does a good job. So
wait,
this
there's
here,
more.
just to refresh your memory, is that when we set up our initial budget, we had a $4,943,000 transfer out. And today, technology will be asking for $145,000 of it, and then replenish our general fund. There's a budget amendment in for about $15,000. And now what Dr. Mecca was talking about, the $1,835,000 for the program intent. And we did that intentionally at the initial budget, not knowing we didn't have all the guidance from TA because of HB3. And so we have about $2,946,000 left of that transfer out balance. And the capital projects fund, which we have non-bond fund transfer in will be up to, which were discussed earlier, the $6.5 million. And the non-bond projects, LEH, Little Elm High School sports field, electrical for $64,000. And concession concrete, I believe Rod will be coming up and discussing that later. And then for debt service, no major debt service fund budget amendment. But as Derek Honey was here from RBC Capital Markets, the approval of the bond issuance parameters up to a $20 million bond sale. And some other future financial consideration. Of course, we keep talking about the strike and excited about strike and Walker Middle School's opening. And also we have the 86th legislative session, and the Texas school districts will be still receiving further guidance from the state on how to spend that, some of those funds, as Dr. Mick was speaking to. And then also the risk of financial sustainability at the state level, which ongoing passes biennium into the next. And of course, the ongoing preventive deferred maintenance costs of the buildings and possible slowdown or decline in tax collection rate. And then we have the above capital, the approved capital reimbursement resolution for the 2017 bond up to $10 million. In our general fund, these are the financials you see month after month. You can see our proposed amendments, which includes our estimated revenue, about $13,000 in addition. And right now, those functions at the campus levels are 80%. Yes, and that's because we just put in about $1.8 million of that reimbursement, or I'm sorry, transfer out. We put into our budgets, and most of those PIC dollars are at these function levels. And so you can see our fund balance is still, we have a balanced budget. which again includes the $2,946,000 remaining from the transfer out. And this is our fund balance. You can see our current budget and our proposed budget. Again, we have a balanced budget. You can see the categories within our fund balance. And the final actual fund balance will be reported in August 31, 29 audit at the December 2019 board meeting. And the 2018-19 estimated actual reflects the $6 million transfer out up to $6.5 million. I just plugged in $6 million in it. The capital outlay funds, $60 million remaining in authorized bonds to sell. You can see the projects as of October 4th that are ongoing and been approved. And these are the projects that are pending budgets, but have been approved by the board. And these are the completed projects. And you can see the project balances, and we'll add those dollars back into the balance remaining. And our next slide is the board-approved non-bond capital projects. You can see the ones that have been approved and those that have been completed. And these lists will go on. I may drop the completed once you've seen them because I think this list will be going on and on and on. And so I'll do that. And then our debt service, you can see that we have about $300,000 budgeted fund surplus for our debt service. And our year-to-date realized start tax collections and our expenditures. Not much activity on our debt service yet. So the administration recommends approval of the August 2019 financial reports as submitted.
Is there any motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or concerns?
Yeah, one question I had, Grant, I was just looking at the fund balance for the food services.
For
I'm looking at the board book.
food services?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those other charts.
I'm sorry, yeah. That was on page 54.
Page 2 of your report.
Yeah.
I might need some help, Beth, on this. But go ahead. Yeah,
I was
what's the
curious,
question?
right now,
Oh, thank you. I have it in a different order. Okay, I can find that one.
the amount received was 3.8.
The yellow page?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
You good.
You got it.
You got it.
Yeah, what's the question? Yes, we
Yeah,
have it.
so
Thank you.
3.8, we spent 4.2, which is about 400 more. Is there reason we spent a little bit more on that one, or is that?
Well, I don't remember what month it was, but they had a budget amendment to spend an additional $424,000, I
That's right.
believe.
Yeah.
Which they've spent,
Okay.
but currently, until we get through the August, we don't have final numbers, but it looks like it actually won't be taking 424,000 out of fund balance, more like 40,000.
Okay.
So,
Okay, just curious on that one. I just seen that. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
That was it for me.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Any other questions?
No. Good.
All right. So all those in favor to approve the financials as submitted? Any opposed? No. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you.
So now, actually, you get to stay.
Oh,
Two more. I'm done. All right, so the expenditures over 50,000 report.
Yes, you received in your board packet, the expenditures are $50,000. And I asked Courtney Clover if she'd come up and talk about 3 of the expenditures. It's a little bit detailed and special ed. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Good evening, President Montemayor, Mr. Gallagher, and the Board of Trustees. Thanks for having me this evening. Mr. Anderson asked me to come speak with you guys a little bit on a couple of the expenditures over $50,000 that we're requesting for approval of tonight regarding a couple of contracts that we're presenting to you. One is for, I believe they start on page 81 in board book, if that's where you guys are. One of them is for accountable school staffing, which would be for approximately $63,900, beginning just really as soon as possible. So we're really looking to partner with or contract with a service provider company, third-party vendor, in order for us to provide psychological services for students with IEPs. There's an incredible shortage in the state of Texas, really nationally, for licensed specialists in school psychology to assist us with completing psychological evaluations, assist us with development of appropriate behavior intervention plans, as well as provide direct counseling as a related service for students with IEPs, of which their IEPs currently have written as that service provider being necessary for providing that service. So their ART committees have already made those decisions. And so we're understaffed with that particular service provider. And so we are trying to be innovative and partner with other potential entities in order to find those providers. So I hope that helps provide a little explanation for why that request is there. So we've been able to find some contracted companies to help partner with. The second one that's on page 82 is with eLuma. And again, this is also an innovative partnership that actually provides digital or web-based services for students for psychological services. So this potentially would be, like a teletherapy opportunity where we could bring psychological services to students through like a web-based, through the computer. So when we are, again, meeting the demands of our students with the shortage across the nation and in the state of Texas, it provides us an additional opportunity to connect students to the appropriate licensed, trained professionals that are out there, clinicians that are out there. So it gives us some flexibility with our own in-house staff to also partner with someone else who could be web-based in order for our students to have immediate access to someone, especially if they were in a crisis situation. So this helps us get access to additional licensed specialists in school psychology to provide those services. So that contract is there for a total of $101,000, but it's only for the daily rates that we pay for that we actually use. So that's projected, not necessarily guaranteed spent. So then moving on to a projected 7.5% administrative fees. This is a renewal for MSB Consulting. It's approximately $75,000 for MSB Consulting, which is our Medicaid third-party provider. We have utilized this company for almost, I believe, 7 years. But that when you hear SHARS, as I think you see it in a line item as revenue. So we actually, our special ed service providers and clinicians bring in almost $1 million in revenue. And so because we are able to bill for Medicaid services. And so that third party provider is actually the company that helps us do all of the administrative pieces to bring that revenue in. So I believe for expenditures over 50,000, that's all I have.
Yeah.
Ms. Clover.
Sir?
Yeah, Ms. Clover,
Yes.
just, I want to clarify, just in case the board, they may have questions. but
Sure, absolutely. Sorry.
Before we ask if they have questions about it, I do want to clarify, I want to first thank you for looking outside for potential additional services or providers.
Yes,
Because currently regarding LSSPs, we actually have, now correct me if I'm wrong, I believe 2 positions posted.
we do. We have 2 positions posted.
And how many applicants have we received?
We've received, well, we've had 2 applicants. We hired one.
Okay.
And the other one had turned our position down because they were moving out of state. So
The position of LSSP is extremely difficult to fill. And it's not just here in Little Elm ISD. We've talked to, and I've called a couple other districts, they're having the same issue. And if you look at almost any district in North Texas, you're going to see LSSP posted as a position. So
Most definitely.
So these providers will assist us with that gap while we're trying to fill this, fill it in. Because the ideal thing is we want to hire somebody in, have them
Correct.
part of Little Elm ISD, but in the meantime, we've got to find a way to make sure we're serving our kids.
So we do have staff that are in-house, boots on the ground, live people who are here. But we have a couple who are contracted part-time. And then we have a full-time employee. So we're, again, still looking to fill the gaps still. So I hope that answers all your questions. Okay,
Actually,
thanks.
I'm sorry. Actually, I did have some questions.
Sure.
I know you said we do have people there but these are filling in the gaps. So have we been able to provide the services needed, or have we been lacking in that since then, or?
Both. So we have
Okay.
been providing services we've needed. We've had a huge influx of students. So we've had 101 students with IEPs transfer in from the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
The majority of those students require new evaluation more often than not. If you have students who are eligible for having autism or eligible for having any kind of disability that manifests in any kind of social, emotional, or behavioral disorder, you're required to have a licensed specialist with school psychology or a licensed psychologist as part of that evaluation team.
Yeah.
So that's partly what is dragging us down. We have been backfilling psychological services. So we are not behind in psychological services, but there was a time where we were making up time. We were doubling up on time to make up for time that was lost.
Okay. And I guess the second part of that is, and understanding the shortage, it's out there and it's a known shortage and everything. But if we're 2 months into the school year, why are we just now getting this proposal to find an outside services? If this is something that we've known we've needed, why was this not brought to us in August or June or July? Before the need arose when we weren't able to hire someone?
So we had brought to you guys, I believe it was August or September. I'd have to go back and look at the when. So it was at the very beginning of the year. We had requested an additional position for an LSSP. So at the time, one of the positions that we said we had filled one of our positions that was posted and then had come back and asked for another position thinking that we'd be able to fill it. And we've not been able to fill. So we've been in the recruiting process, trying to seek and find qualified applicants, but we can't.
And I understand that, and that's fine. I just, again, it just kind of goes back, knowing the shortage that's been out there, and you've expressed it several times, Mr. Gallagher's expressed it several times, knowing that apparently every school district has this issue. If we knew it was going to be a problem to fill, then I'm just hoping in the future we could find these alternates in the future, these alternate pathways in the future that we could use before it becomes a problem.
Well, and
Sure.
we're on the same page, and Ms. Clover's on the same page. And again, our first priority is we want to get people
Absolutely.
in the positions. And I will say, we are having Ms. Clover work closely with Dr. Teague on that staffing plan that will be coming to the board in the spring. So what we will do, and it's something we haven't done in the past, is present to the board a fully comprehensive staffing plan that includes special ed, includes basically every area that we're going to have to hire in. So, and special ed is a big, big piece of that.
Most
Thank you.
definitely. Thanks. I think I got it all. You want me to say so?
No, you're okay. Thank you. And then number 2 on the list is the AGI repair, the Asset Genie, and this is the device protection plan for Little Elm ISD. This is the accidental damage protection plan for HP Chromebooks and MacBooks Air. And this is with Clay Walker's department and technology. And you can see the change in the renewal is flat, effective October 24th. And then Apple, for technology, the technology department needs to purchase 150 additional MacBooks for Little Elm High School's one-to-one program. You can see the description there in your board book. And then also for Dr. Tipton and CTE, the CTE department would like to purchase 20 iMac computers for the audiovisual fine film television CTE lab. And also Dr. Tipton with CTE department would like to purchase 5 Dell computers for the engineering CTE lab. And the CTE department would like to purchase 37 Dell Latitude computers and 1 cart for the business CTE lab. And then on the next page, CASIA as a patching and deployment for Windows and Mac VSA deployment for technology. And those 9 are the expenditures over $50,000. The administration recommends approval of Little Elm ISD expenditures over $50,000 summary report as submitted.
Didn't know there was more at the bottom. Okay. So is there a motion to approve those list of expenditures over 50,000?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other comments, concerns?
I just have one quick thing. Clay, I do appreciate on number 8, I'm sorry. Yes, on number 8, how looking at some different, no, you don't need to get up. Looking at some different alternatives, basically extending the contract to get the lower rate and end up saving us some money on that. So I do appreciate looking at some different options on there and being able to do that for us. Thank you.
All those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. Also, moving on to the interlocal summary report.
Yes, and on the interlocal summary report, I'm going to again ask Courtney to come up, and there's one with ESC Region 10. And I appreciate her
Yeah.
helping out.
Go, Courtney. Go, Courtney. Go, Courtney. Can it go, Courtney?
Deja vu. Come back. Okay, so Mr. Anderson has asked me to present to you. I believe I'm on what I think is page 84 for you in board book. It's number 1 regarding interlocal summary report for approval. Yes. So number 1 is ESC Region 10 for special populations is a renewal of contract. So it's approximately $22,000. So not the amount is not so much to worry about, but really because it is an interlocal agreement with an agency, we bring that to you. So special education department has had a service package with Region 10 for a comprehensive collection for services. And through that, it's really through this service package, and I just recently have renegotiated our contract with Region 10, in particular, to include a program evaluation for special education and special populations across the district. So really, it's an exciting and challenging time to be in special education. There are a lot of things happening across the state and federally, and we have, along with all the growth that we've had here in Little Elm ISD, it really is also in alignment with our LOBO values of, providing timely and transparent communication and just resetting a baseline for what our needs are in special populations. And so we've had a lot of changes and growth. So we're exceeding almost 800 students identified with IEPs in Little Elm ISD. So when I first started here, we were right at 500 kids. So we've grown quite a bit. And the needs of our kids are changing quite a bit. So we thought I presented to cabinet and we'd like to bring to you guys too as part of our service package that, we really kind of get a fresh, objective look at what our needs are too. So in that service package, we will have that program evaluation as part of that. Additionally, we have an interlocal agreement with Tarrant County MHMR. So this agency actually is the Part C to Part B. So in the federal regulations, IDEA Part C is birth to 2 turning 3. So the early childhood intervention for developmental delays and disabilities, that agency provides services to infants and children in the home before they turn 3. And then they come to us and we evaluate to determine eligibility for services, and that's how we start serving them at age 3. So, and you often will see also there's a line item in the summary of finance where that is required by federal mandate. So we need to renew our contract with them. There's no cost to us, but we do, as part of our MOU, have an agreement for co-location services. So we provide Tarrant County MHMR some office space here in the district in order for co-location services. And then I believe that's it for my part. So I think.
And I want to
Craig's got
jump
the
in
rest.
real quick, Ms. Clover, and just
Yes.
say, again, thank you for the program evaluation, because really what that is going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be a full audit, but it's very similar to what we did with the curriculum audit, where we have a third-party independent source come in
Absolutely.
and take a look at our special ed department. And again, this was Ms. Clover's idea to really take a look at what we're doing and see how we can get better. So thank you for doing that.
Do y'all have any questions?
No, I just.
For me?
But second pair of eyes is always good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
So last two.
Yep, and then the Regional 1 Education Service Center just gives us another, it's an auto renewal of a interlocal with that service center, gives us more purchasing options. And then a retired and senior volunteer program, Dr. Tipton, communication marketing. Rockin' Readers Volunteer Program, RSVP, will provide volunteers, retired and seniors at individual campuses throughout the Little Elm ISD to read to the students. And the administration recommends approval of the Little Elm ISD interlocal summary report as submitted.
Is there a move to approve the interlocal as submitted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? All right, all those in
Okay,
favor?
thank you.
Dan, I'm just gonna let you go on that one. I'll just cover you the second on that one.
Oh, no.
Okay, all right. Since y'all down there, I'm way over here. I can't talk.
Yeah.
Maybe I hand
talk to
signal.
us.
All right.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Reeves, have the capital outlays projects?
Thank you, board members and Superintendent Gallagher.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
We already did that one. We
oh, I'm
moved
sorry.
it.
Issuance of bonds. Sorry,
We moved
voted
that.
on that earlier. Okay, my bad. Go ahead. Go for it. Sorry. You good.
Thank you again. Good evening. And just to go over the 2019-20 capital outlay project. Remember, these are projects that Mr. Anderson talked about, the fund that's been set up. And we, from the operational services side, we just like to thank the administration, Mr. Gallagher and Mr. Anderson, for setting these funds aside, and also for the board to approve these, because it goes a long way just to upgrade our facilities. And when you have money, it makes it a lot easier to fix things up. So we appreciate y'all allocating those to us. We feel we're an integral part to the, the classroom environment, and we appreciate y'all's support. These are two more projects we wish to bring to you this year. We are going to be bringing a 1-year, 2-year, and 3-year plan to you, hopefully at the November board meeting, so you can kind of see our thought process over the next several years, just to let you know the plan of action to see if you agree with that or not. These two projects, one is the sports field electrical, working with Mr. Martin on the bond projects. We have our baseball, softball, and the football field being renovated there. Working with Mr. Martin, we found out that the electrical lines are running from the panel directly to each of the lights. And so we're putting this new turf field in. We thought it was advantageous to run those lines outside the field in case we ever have an issue. And so that's what that project is about, to run those outside for that. Also, it deals with the tennis courts and working with Ms. Howell on kind of some programming for those, for people that use those tennis courts at night. So we're working with her on that. The concession concrete, you notice there's, if you've been out there to see it, we have the existing concession building that's up on top of the hill. It has some concrete around it. The board did authorize us to work with the town of Little Elm with the concrete contractor. And so you may be asking, why are we bringing you another vendor to do concrete? We got a better value with Jackson Construction. Mr. Martin was great to work with us with them. They're already mobilized out there. So we saw significant savings to use Jackson Construction on this particular concrete. So that is that reason why we're bringing that concrete to you with Jackson Construction. So the administration recommends you approve the capital outlay projects as submitted, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Is there a motion to approve the capital outlay projects as submitted? Is there a second?
Second.
Questions?
Yay, thanks for bringing it under budget.
Mr. Martin helps a lot with that, so.
All right, all those in favor of approving the projects? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are going to move from the consent agenda, item D, the co-serve easement for Strike Middle School. We're going to move that up as well. Mr. Martin? Do you have that item? Oh, we're just pulling it all together? Or?
Yeah, we were having to pull it back.
Oh.
CoServe wanted to make a minor adjustment to it, so we just.
Sorry, I thought we were
Present.
pulling it up. Oh, we're just pulling it, okay.
Pull it. So we just
Okay,
need to approve
sorry.
it minus D. Okay.
Sorry. All right, well then we do have the consent agenda as submitted with the exclusion of item D for consideration. If there's a motion to approve those items.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Nobody else is talking.
All right, any questions or comments on any of these? All right, all those in favor?
So.
All right, which passes. Thank you very much. All right. I guess I did want to talk about one thing. I've been talking to Dan recently about ways to keep engaging with the community. I know as a district, Tony Tipton does that quite well. Cecilia does that well, putting out information, but just about the possibility of starting to put out some articles or snippets or something from the board itself. Dan said he kind of wanted to take that on, and I think that's a good idea. So he says anything he does kind of put together, he would kind of put that through Cecilia and of course Mr. Gallagher yourself. But if there are any topics that any of us would like to throw out there, kind of from the board, that can flow through. You can email Sonia and she'll email that to the rest of us as well. But I did want to thank Dan for kind of bringing that up. I think there's already just some good topics to discuss.
And just kind of fill in on that, what kind of started this is I was approached by Craig, I forget his last name, but with Little Elm Journal about potentially the board basically starting to do a guest column every couple of weeks, once a month or something like that. I kind of jumped on the opportunity. I also talked to Cecilia, and she said that, also she'd be happy to work with me on it. And then she could post on the My Little Elm News also site. And it's basically just kind of, as I've been saying for a while, for us as the board to start getting out there and communicating directly with the public. As you all know, that's something I've claimed several times that we are kind of lacking at. So it would never be obviously it'd never be a political issue. It would never be an issue of things that we were voting on or discussing. It'd be more just informative of what's going on in the district. What are some things that we recently considered that we did, we did vote upon, or some different changes that we made in the district, but it'd never be anything obviously that was be upcoming. And at any point in time, and anyone else on the board would like to participate in it, you'd obviously be more than welcome to join in. So it's just one of the ideas that I'd talked about and wanting to do.
Yeah, and I want to add really quickly, I appreciate Mr. Blackwood for stepping up on that. If you have, or if you need ideas, reach out to me, reach out to Cecilia. We would love to have you out there celebrating and bragging about the district because it does mean a lot coming from board members. So I love that idea.
So with that, see if there's any other comments from anyone else?
No, I'm glad. Other than that, we're coming into Thanksgiving time frame. So look forward to that. This weekend was band, I believe.
And this weekend.
And you this weekend. So we'll continue to fight on Little Elm, just continue to make its move. Thank you, staff, for everything you've got done, and the principals. Really like to see the principals here and enjoy the opportunity to spend time with them. So thank you for everything you've done. I really appreciate it. Let's continue to move forward.
All right. Jason?
Oh, I was just gonna say goodnight. Thank you, guys. But I do highly appreciate, because I had noticed tonight that there were several items that we were saving money on. So thank you. As a taxpayer, I really, really appreciate that. And as a board member and knowing all the things that we do want to do, that's very, very helpful. So thank you, guys.
And I'd just also like to say thank you to everyone. And Dr. Teague, welcome. Hope we didn't scare you away. Thank you.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yeah, a couple things. First, board, thank you so much for your support and leadership and obviously in taking part in the direction we're going. I do want to invite the board and our community out on November 8th at our monthly Little Elm Business Breakfast. I'm going to give the State of the District address, so we will send you an official invitation, a calendar invitation. I believe that's the first one that we've done, and that's something I want to make it, well, first one we've done in quite some time. I think Dr. Strike did one that was tied to the long-range planning committee before the bond, or when we were looking at the bond back in 2000, might have been 16, when he was working on that. So I do want to make that an annual event. We thought we would tie this first one in with our Little Elm ISD Business Breakfast partners. It's a good group of people, and we'll send out some more invitations, but definitely want to invite the board. And again, thank you, Mr. Blackwood, for your idea for celebrating the district and getting information out. I think that's going to be wonderful. And staff and executive team, thank you so much for being here tonight. Appreciate the work you guys are doing.
All right. What that says, is there a motion to adjourn? Second?
Got it.
All those in favor?
In favor.
All right. Meeting adjourns at 9:41 PM.